Good morning. Hopefully you can all hear me. Welcome to the FarmIQ and FARMAX webinar about what is the value of FarmIQ, and hopefully targeting all the rural professionals out there, all your bookkeepers, accountants, bankers, and anyone helping giving advice to farmers on farm. We're also joined by Allayne Wallace, who's going to come on and talk a bit later around our use case. But given that we're at 11 o'clock, I can still see a few people coming in, but I'll just kick into the PowerPoint. So it's going to be one moment to load that up for you. That should all be coming through now. Hopefully you can all see my PowerPoint, and we'll work on through. So welcome to the Getting to Know FarmIQ webinar. So just welcome to all. My name is Crosse. I am our Head of Strategic Relationships here at FarmIQ. I've been at FarmIQ about 4 years now, and my previous roles have been through the support desk as well as our Head of Customer Experience. I've grown up on the family sheep and beef farm out at Weaver, out near Dannyburg, for those who know the area. But my current role as Head of Strategic Relationships is looking after all of our platform partners, a lot of the industry lobby groups, but anyone who is also kind of interacting and servicing our farmers and customers. So, all the different partners we deal with all run through there. So what we're going to cover today is I'm going to run us through, about what is FarmIQ, then cover off the value of it, then do similar again with FARMAX and how that fits in as value. We will touch on our integration there with Figured. We're then going to hear in from Allayne from Ātihau Whanganui Incorporated, and she was going to talk through how FarmIQ has added them value and what it's brought to them. We'll have a very brief tour of the FarmIQ platform, just so you can see it run through. Then we will finish off with a Q&A from basically if there's any questions on the call. So for the session, your cameras and microphones will just remain off, they're turned off, but any questions that you do have, feel free to type into the chat box, and when we get to the Q&A, we will work through and answer those. Right, so kicking off about FarmIQ. So FarmIQ is a map-based farm management software. So we're established about 12 years ago with the goal of improving the value chain efficiency by allowing information to flow freely between farmers, processors, and retailers. It was all around bringing it all together, getting all the farmers' data in one place, but not just to help the farmer, but to also connect them across the industry. There's a lot of value in the data that sits in behind the farm gate, actually connecting and bringing it in to other data that comes off, that as meat and milk go off to processors, as you have different fertilizer systems elsewhere separate to your health and safety systems and all of that, FarmIQ was really designed to bring it all together. So, we've since viewed ourselves as becoming a key part of the New Zealand business, and we're supported by passionate industry shareholders. So, FarmIQ can do all, we do view ourselves as, farm management software. We have all the aspects in one place. It's more about, not just having your stock and land management, as a lot of people think about farming. Farming is a business. And so as a business, it also looks at factors like your health and safety and compliance and asset register and staff and personal details. Farming isn't just what's my pasture growing and how many stock do I have. It's so much more encompassing. So we're going to hear the value of FarmIQ. So FarmIQ does provide value to all those operating in the agri sector. Our product is built and designed with a strong farmer focus. Everything that we do, we want to put the farmer first at the center of our picture. We only work if it works for them. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're bringing the value to all the real professionals on the journey. But as we all know, our product is, farmer focused. We also have a great solution for those farmers that love their data or beginning the digital journey. We are fully encompassing around who it can provide value for. And some of the other, really key components that we also have is around, we've got a full digital map. So the farmer can use that for all their planning needs, their future forecasting. It shows what real time is, but also can plan ahead to help for all the environmental planning, which is going to be, coming down the pipe at them more and more. And just on that, FarmIQ makes compliance a breeze. We've built into our system fully integrated self-run modules around FAP, the Farm Assurance Plan, FEPs for Farm Environment Planning, Health and Safety, as well as several others. And having all those systems in the one place and all together really helps that farmers that they're not having to, have 6 different apps and go to 6 different places to get that information. Everything they're going to need to have and show moving forward is all going to be there in one place. Another great and major value of FarmIQ is integrations. From all our research with farmers, and I believe the Federated Farmers have done that research as well, Farmers don't mind entering information. What they don't like is entering the same information multiple times across multiple systems. But they're happy to provide it. So one of the key functions and values of FarmIQ is we've built ourselves out as that agricultural platform and integrate with several people around the industry. One of the key examples of that is when you enter your stock information into FarmIQ, we integrate through with Nate and Osprey, so that if you're recording the sale or animal movements, that's automatically going to go through and feed Nate. A farmer doesn't have to do that twice. We integrate with Figured, as a lot of you probably know through coming through the earlier webinars. But again, you enter your stock rec information to FarmIQ, it flows to there. We integrate with the likes of TrackMap for fertilizer spreading. That way the farm actually captures what goes on when the contract is finished flying or driving your fertilizer chemical on. It's just in FarmIQ. They haven't had to record it twice. As well as bringing in other value add information like production data. You send a line of cattle off to the works, you can actually get your kill sheet back with exact hop grades, weights, and payments, all flowing back into FarmIQ to give you a much greater picture of what is actually going on in your farm operation. Some other great values that we also provide. We have a mobile app. So therefore, everything that you record in FarmIQ can actually be out in the paddock, real-time information. You record it when and where it actually happens. And just another benefit, we also have a really good controlled permission access things. At FarmIQ, farmers own their data and are able to then share it how they choose to. So a lot of partners and our farmers are able to invite the likes of their accountant in, they can invite their rural consultant, they can invite their bank manager in, set up a plan and form a plan, and actually control and permission what kind of data and access is shared out. Because again, we want to make sure that everyone is working together. Farming as a business isn't just done by one person in one office. It does bring everyone together to make it work. Cool. About FARMAX. So for those who might not know, FarmIQ and FARMAX merged in September last year, but we've definitely had a strong working relationship the last 10 odd years. FARMAX is a modelling and decision support tool basically developed for pastoral farmers here in New Zealand. So whilst FarmIQ is quite heavily about recording the actual data occurring on farm, FARMAX is a powerful modelling tool that allows the farmers to plan ahead and look at different scenarios going forward of what might happen. Modelling done in FARMAX is great. You basically build your base and set up your digital copy of your farm, but then it gives you the ability to compare any changes you make going forward, that every change you make, you're actually running to the side so you can compare and contrast how it does. One of the major powers and wins that it does is that all scenario going forward will give you the three major outcomes. As you can see on the screen, it's about getting that balance right. It'll tell you, are you going to be environmentally, production, and profitable? Do all three of those factors stay in balance and in check as you make each model going forward? So for example, if you plan to increase the animal capacity, you might increase the profitability on your farm through the headcount of animals, but what is this going to do to your pasture production and the subsequent environmental impact? Similar again, it's probably coming up more so if you want to make a model of what it will look like to plant out, part of the farm and trees, plant out the gully. This is also going to reduce your pasture production as you'll have less land to feed animals on. But in 5-10 years' time, how has this impacted your profitability and other greenhouse gas measures? FarmAX is a very powerful tool to give you that modelling looking forward. So yeah, as we touched on, it can do a lot of forecasting and production. You can create unlimited what-if scenarios. So, farmers looking to pick up new blocks, change their operation, looking to expand through. It really does, get through all those numbers. We have one of the certified greenhouse gas calculators in New Zealand. So all the farmers who are going to have to know their number, we are a tool that can basically provide them that and give them, useful metrics for it. Because more importantly than just having them know their number, we can then actually help and work with them to say, well, what can you do about that? How can you make a model to, reduce it, change it, and understand that any impacts that you made, how they will flow on. And just briefly touching again on the value of FarmAX, like it's been around for several years now, but all research that we have done around it, that we've found that over 10 seasons we've compared that red meat farmers that are using FarmAX are performing 64% better than the industry average. But again, when we compare that through beef and lamb, New Zealand data, over across an average farm, that can be over $180,000 difference. Same again in the dairy industry, it does work well for dairy farmers as well. From DNZ, Dairy NZ data, it's closer to around a 24% increase. But again, that's about $150,000 gross margin per year per season for those farmers that are truly making the right insights, the farmers that are looking ahead and forecasting. the ones that are ahead of the curve, as opposed to relying and, you know, seeing as the market changes behind them. They're actually looking ahead to see how they could do it. Adds a lot of value to farmers' operations. So yeah, the figured integration, obviously that is one of the big reasons we hopefully are here for a lot of the accountants and bookkeepers. It is one of our newest integrations, and it's very powerful going up. Because again, it has just eliminated another one of those multiple entry points. But hopefully for yourselves on the call, what we see coming through here is that time saving. You know, as I think Allayne will touch on shortly, what I'm sure we and a few of us on the call can all imagine what it's like ringing every farmer and the admin at the end of each month and being sent a photo of a stock rec, or some come in Excel, some probably come as a ripped up notebook, you know, how they all come through. But having that data actually there, real time, live and updated, can add a lot of value in that, you know, that time saving and efficiencies, because then as a farmer makes the change, it all does come through. Right, what I'm going to do now, just so you don't have to listen to my voice the whole time, is pass over to Allayne. So Allayne is from Ātihau Whanganui Incorporation, and she's going to talk through, how FarmIQ has had an impact on their business. So over to you, Allayne. Are you able to come off mute, Allayne? That's working for you?
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Cool. Kia ora koutou. So I'm Allayne Wallace, and I'm the livestock and accounts receivable admin for Ātihau Incorporation. I've been here for 4 years now, so using FarmIQ for the same amount of time and pretty much on the daily. We have 9 farms, so we've got 8 sheep and beef and 1 dairy farm. So overall, we're managing around 80 to 120 sheep a year, and 12,000 cattle a year, and those fluctuate obviously. So we've got 9 different managers. So that's 9 different managers across the farm using FarmIQ on the daily. And I couldn't imagine them trying to do this without FarmIQ. It would be a nightmare. It's easy to use. I've talked to the farm managers, they use it on their phone as well as their laptop. So they're updating the system every couple of days. Basically for us, it's like having a live farm manager's diary online and accessible when we need it. There's often times we need to do reporting, so we can grab those numbers directly from FarmIQ and move them over to Figured and run the reports that we need. With the FarmIQ and Figured integration that's just been happening, which I'm excited to get started on. We've got, like I said, we've got 9 farms, so we haven't yet to do the integration. But when we do, gosh, it's going to be such a time saver. No more double entries. FarmIQ will be our one source of truth, and it will just flow nicely through to Figured, which that's going to save roughly 3 to 6 hours probably per week, just me alone, having to move that data across to Figured. So all I'll be doing then is just entering the numbers from the invoicing. At the end of the month, we always do a monthly reconciling from FarmIQ to Figured to make sure the numbers match up. With the integration, that's going to completely cancel that out. So it'll just be checking to see if there's any errors, which we'll be able to fix directly in FarmIQ. It's not having to check do checks in both systems, so that's just going to be awesome. There's so once the FarmIQ information goes through to Figured, it syncs nicely through to Xero, which then we do our invoicing from there. So like I said, it's just going to be once into FarmIQ through to Figured and then invoicing out through to Xero. So nice and easy. We're going to love that. It means we can spend time doing other things, planning projects and stuff like that. The end of year stock counts, it's a big one for us. So I do the farm management livestock journals at the end of the year. So imagine trying to do 9 farms and making sure we get those numbers right. We take the numbers at the stock count, and then we can track the movement from the date of the stock count to the 30th of June, which is our end of financial year. And we can print those numbers directly from FarmIQ, make sure they match up with what we've got from our livestock agent, and then those numbers are just transferred onto an Excel spreadsheet, which we then do a livestock valuation journal from. So it's really easy for us to use. In terms of that, we use a digital mapping as well, which is good for environmental planning. So easily print those off from FarmIQ. We've got our paddocks outlined. So, you know, having 9 farms, knowing which paddock is on each farm is such a handy tool to have. We've done that once when we set it up. So now it's just easy, grab that, whatever farm we want, print that map off, and we usually send it up to when we do the cropping and fertilizer and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so that's some cool features. We can control the access of our users on our farms. So not everyone's doing 10 different things at once. It's just the managers entering stuff. You can't really get double entries if that happens. You know, it's just one person controlling what goes in and what goes out. Yeah, I honestly, it just saves us such a lot of time, and it's just such a great tool for farmers to use. Yeah, I don't know what else you'd use if you didn't have FarmIQ, to be honest. So yeah, pretty much us.
Cool. No, yeah, thank you, Allayne. Like, yeah, it's always good to hear, you know, said from our customers, and for me, it is that time saving and value add. It's, you know, again, we're not a product just for stock and land, just for the farm managers to be recording out there in the paddock. I said, farming is a business. It is the whole, you have every aspect of it. You have the financial, the health and safety, the people, all that side. And yeah, really bringing it all together is one of those key things that we see.
Exactly. And the farmers don't want to be, they want to be managing their farm. You know, that's what we get them to do. So having something like this, a system easy to just sit down at the end of each day, put your numbers in, and that's it. Not worry about and leave the rest of that up for us to do. Nice and easy.
Oh, cool. Hey, yeah, thank you very much, Allayne. And yeah, like I said, what I'll do now is I'll probably jump in and give the people on the call a quick tour and brief view of FarmIQ, kind of show them around. That way they can actually see what it all looks like. So just
no worries. Thank you.
Share my screen. On tab. There. So hopefully there now you can all see we're logged into. Again, we're all web and cloud based, so this can be brought up on any computer anywhere. It doesn't, you know, it's not saved to the computer. That way farmers can take it with them. But this here is FarmIQ. So yeah, I'll give you a very brief tour of one of my demo farms here, just re-highlighting some of the basic different features that both myself covered earlier, but also Allayne touched on there. So as you can see here, we're all based around a digital map that can all be engaged and interacted with any of the recording. But rather than just being, you know, a static image of the farm, farmers can easily come in and plan, move fence lines, and add additional information. But as we start to bring it up, we can start to see here, bring in our paddock details, see how many of our paddocks and have what areas of crop in them. We can bring up and see where are our mobs on the paddock. So when we do this, we're actually looking around the farm and seeing exactly where our cattle are standing. We can click on, see what the animals are, and anything recently about them, like their health treatments and their moves. It's all there in front of us, basically in real time, that managers can move through. Something that keep planning we touched on is we can bring in a lot of our basic different things like our features. This here starts to add a lot of power as we start to see where farmers are bringing in their different areas, their waterways, their culverts and planning. But potentially, as we move forward through compliance and environmental planning, what kind of areas are they planning to retire or riparian plant or look to move forward so that they can meet a lot of their compliance standards and regulations? All of this is easy for the farmer to input and control. And as Allayne said, when it needs to be shared and printed off, that can all easily be done so. As I said, what we won't do, we won't look at every function and feature today, but just to really re-highlight, you'll see here, you know, through our stock list, literally populating all the animals that are on farm, what they're up to. Again, expand down and see the literal exact age, breed, and cross. Won't go into it, but FarmIQ we can go right down to the individual animal level, not just the mob. We do build that detailed animal history that those you see data heavy farmers who really want to see individual growth rates can actually see that performance, or you can just leave it at a nice mob level as you are moving them around. As I'm sure you've all seen a stock rec, like I said, all this information comes through, and this is that main key figured integration and benefit of any of the movements that can, any additions, births, sales, anything that's sold, deaths, even just recording those losses. We all know what sheep are like, poking through fences for your accounts going up and down. As it actually gets recorded, as they get lost, they can easily be removed. As they found or come back from the neighbour, they come back. But it's still therefore giving you an accurate real-time update of what is actually going on the farm and property. See here, a range of land functions like recording in our chemical and fertilizer events. But, as we also touched on more so, things like our farm environment plan. We've actually built a nice little template guide that can basically, the farmer can run through step by step, asking nice, easy, simple questions, getting them ready for what they're actually planning, running through their risk assessment questions, biodiversity, their map features, their land management units. They can work through this whole plan to make sure that what they're doing is going to keep them on track and managing that. Because one of the great things is, and for those who understand, farm environment planning, it's not a pass-fail. It's not about getting a tick box at the end of it. It's about creating an actual plan of what you're going to do on farm. So the fact that you get to make your plan inside FarmIQ, but then you actually are creating tasks and objectives off that plan of what you're going to do. You can then put these as tasks in your diary to actually come through and achieve them, but it captures what you've done, going, or have completed. Because therefore, it takes it from being just like a health and safety plan or a farm environment plan, being done once, then living in a manila folder in the bottom of your drawer in the farm office and never getting looked at, doesn't really benefit or make that change that it needs to. By having it all here in FarmIQ, it actually becomes a living, breathing document. It actually becomes progressive, it moves forward, and farmers can actually plan and run through the system as they go. You'll see here, as both Allayne and myself talked about, that third-party access and kind of granting through, everyone's able to come in different permissions. That, you are able to bring in the likes of your Westland Milk Rep can come in if they're helping you with the farm environment plan. You could be bringing in Tom from the FARMAX team to be helping, you manage and update parts of your property, and all easily be controlled by who wants to come in. So again, yourselves as accountants, if you need more visibility than just that stock rec, you'd like to come in and help them with that forward planning, put a task and action plan in place, that's something that you'll be able to engage and deal with the farmers on. As I said, we cover health and safety, but even when we start looking at things like office, we cover things like your farm assets of, your building and vehicle registers and maintenance, whole product inventory of what's going on. As I touched at the start, farming is so much more than stock and land that a lot of systems look at. We really have done what we can to try and be all-encompassing and view farming as a business as opposed to a few key functions. Another great thing that FarmIQ does, given that we're there for a data-led business, is there's no point recording anything if we don't let you report it back out. We have a comprehensive range of reports in our report centre that the farmers can give back. Just a few of the common ones this farm looks at, things like your carcass performance from your meat works, nutrient application to make sure that you are meeting all your rules and regulations around applying nitrogen and fertilizer, viewing back your health treatment reports. There's a whole range of reports I won't run into for all and open them for all of us. But as we can see, being a data platform, we actually want to give value back out. Again, rather than running through 10 different pages of your notebook to try to find every health treatment, we can easily just run the report and see every treatment given inside the last year. Like I said, it is a massive and comprehensive system. I'm not going to be able to show all of you everything that it can do today, but I did want to give you all that kind of view and insight to see how it actually, feels and looks. So hopefully, this has given you a very brief but better understanding of what FarmIQ can be. What I'm just going to do back now is go back to the PowerPoint and see if any questions have come through. One moment. Thank you, Allayne. So I'm just going to look through the chat there. Are there any questions from anyone online? I think you should be able to type into the chat box or into the Q&A section. I'm not seeing it come through, but hopefully that's not an issue my end. I'll just give it a few more moments in case someone's typing. No, cool. I can see one come through there from John. Thank you, John. Does it work for crop farming? Yes, it does. We are intended for more the partial farming or being grazing on like animals as well, as opposed to those farms that are like purely growing commercial crops and passing on. but for our farmers, we are able to record and put in the likes of where you've put in crops that you then plan to feed to your animals. But yeah, we're not directly intended for commercial full cropping operations, but we do have a lot of those cropping features. Cool. Another question there, can you connect to other apps like LIC's Minder? So at this stage, we don't have a direct integration with LIC's Minder. We do work with one of LIC's larger competitors, CRV, and their product called MyHerd. So that full genetic recording program can also run through on FarmIQ. That way you've got your animals, genetics, and land in one place. Obviously in conversation with LIC, but it doesn't connect with them at the moment. Cool. Any other questions for anyone on the line? Right, if anything does come through afterwards, you're obviously going to get an email follow-up after this webinar, which will have a lot of my details in it, as well as a lot of the team here at FarmIQ. But yeah, just what I will say in summary and wrap up. So yeah, in summary, FarmIQ is a great product there to help all farmers and to give rural professionals like yourselves additional value and make it all work together. So like I said, you want to call my call to action to yourselves is if you know any farmers who basically love diving deep into their data and want to get even more out of it, or even at the beginning of their journey and just think a digital setup would help them, have them move forward and give advantage there, then please let us know or have them get in touch. Because yeah, between FarmIQ and FARMAX, I'm sure we can help make both your lives easier, but also improve all the farmers around New Zealand. And cool. Yeah, I can see no other questions have come through. So yeah, all the best and thank you very much.